Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed about cryptozoology. Bigfoot. This giant, hairy, ape-like creature has been called by many names: Sasquatch, Yeti, Abominable Snowman, Bumble, and cited all over the world. Here in the US, Bigfoot is traditionally thought of as a creature of the Pacific Northwest, where a Bigfoot-centered tourism industry has thrived for decades. Despite the many reported sightings and discoveries of footprints, there are 2 very persuasive pieces of evidence that suggest Bigfoot is just as imaginary as his fellow cryptids. First, the American fascination with Bigfoot is directly traceable back to an admitted hoax perpetrated by a man in Northern California in the late 1950s who made footprints using large, carved wooden feet. Second, the most highly touted piece of evidence for Bigfoot is this footage of a guy in a costume pretending to be a Bigfoot. El Chupacabra. Yes, the dreaded El Chupacabra, the name of which is Spanish for that one from the X-Files. It's a predator of goats and other animals. It attacks, it kills, it drains the blood, and leaves behind nothing but the faint whiff of sulfur. There are skeptics, of course. Not everyone blames these attacks on Chupacabra. Some blame aliens. Still others like to point out that the first reported eyewitness description of El Chupacabra, which was published by a Puerto Rican newspaper in the mid-1990s, bore a very strong resemblance to the alien creature featured in the movie Species, which, coincidentally, the eyewitness had just recently seen. And they also like to point out that the supposed sightings and attacks that are attributed to Chupacabra could very easily have been the work of other animals like stray dogs or coyotes. But what fun is that? The Loch Ness Monster. I know we're not done yet, but I'm going to go ahead and declare Nessie here to be the most preposterous creature on this list and in all of cryptozoology. Not only does the supposed evidence for the Loch Ness Monster consist entirely of hoax images and easily dismissible eyewitness testimony, but there is also incredibly compelling evidence against Nessie's existence. Specifically, Nessie lives in Loch Ness. A few years ago, scientists used sonar to search all of Loch Ness for Nessie, and Nessie wasn't there. Although, strangely enough, that same survey did discover that dragon that escaped from Carl Sagan's garage. The Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil is said to be this winged, hooved, flying creature that can walk around on 2 legs. Stories about the devil date back to the mid-18th century when it's said that Mother Leeds, a local witch, gave birth to a child she had conceived with Satan. The child transformed into this horse-like winged creature and flew out into the Pine Barrens to haunt New Jerseyans forevermore. Explanations of what the Jersey Devil actually is or where it actually came from abound, but my own theory is that it's just some shit that people made up a long time ago to scare their kids and entertain themselves because it was centuries before the invention of television and fuck, they needed to do something to take their minds off the fact that they were living in New Jersey. Mothman. No, Mothman isn't the most well-known or the scariest or even the most ridiculous creature in cryptozoology, but he gets to go on last because he's from around here and I like to push local talent. Mothman is a native of West Virginia, which is over the river a few miles that way from where I'm sitting. And growing up in this area all my life, I've actually heard Mothman stories from people who claimed to have encountered him personally, or at least they know someone who encountered him personally. Mothman is a man-sized, winged creature that flies around at night scaring the shit out of people who would probably be too drunk to legally be out in public if they lived anywhere other than wild, wonderful West by God. My favorite part of the Mothman legend is a few years ago, noted paranormal investigator and senior research fellow at the Center for Skeptical Inquiry, Joe Nickel, conducted an investigation of the Mothman sightings and concluded that when people thought they were seeing Mothman, they were most likely actually seeing a barn owl. Now, when you're capable of confusing a barn owl with a man-sized flying monster, my friends in West Virginia, it's time to put down the natty light, okay? The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.